Hello people, my name's Chris Dangerfield. Don't hit like, don't subscribe, smash nothing. You know how YouTube works, just enjoy the video. This horrific case from GB News.
A UN judge has been convicted after forcing a woman to work as a slave.
Let me just confirm that. A presiding UN judge, someone whose job is to manage trials and enforce the law, has been convicted in the UK of owning a slave. Not only that, perhaps I shouldn't have interrupted so early, I just want to make it clear, they also threatened one of the witnesses to try and get her to change her statement. Now, regardless of all the other implications of this, if I was anyone involved in any of the trials that at which this judge sat, I would be asking for that trial again. I'd say about that case. Yeah, it's no.
Lydia Mugambe, also a High Court judge in Uganda, was found guilty of conspiring to facilitate a breach of UK immigration law, forcing someone to work, and conspiracy to intimidate a witness. The woman was genuinely shocked she had committed a crime. Take a look at her arrest.
So unfortunately I'm going to have to now arrest you on suspicion.
Hang on, I mean, no one is surprised, yet I'd guess most people horrified that the old bill then, unfortunately, let's see that again, you know, I wonder why he's treading on eggshells. I mean, I've seen plenty of videos, I've been arrested myself enough times to know, rarely is it unfortunately, sorry mate, but because of the law and that, no, quite the opposite.
Look at her arrest.
So unfortunately I'm going to have to now arrest you on suspicion of keeping somebody in slavery and servitude.
Surprised she got caught, not surprised that she got arrested.
Under the Modern Slavery Act, so you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something which later on in court, anything you do say may be used as evidence. Alright? Sorry?
I am a judge in my country.
What is that meant to make me think that you're not guilty? If anything, yeah, you can fill in the blanks. You'll have to do a lot of that in this video because we're on the tubes, but I'm a judge in the very uncorrupt nation of Uganda. Surely that gives me some kind of immunity.
Even have immunity. I am not a criminal.
You've got immunity in this country?
Yes. I have a diplomatic passport.
You're a diplomat?
Yes.
So we'll need to see that then.
Yes.
And then we'll need to speak to the embassy if you are a diplomat.
I came here as a student. I don't need to work for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure if coming as a student gives you diplomatic immunity. Mate, I mean, nothing would surprise me in the UK. Don't get me wrong, I love England, I love it to my bones. But the leadership is and has been for decades now, let's just say, not putting the English first. Quite the opposite, in fact. I mean, it's now written into law. It's now written into law. I mean, just step back a bit, get a bit of critical distance from this. We're so used to it, it's sort of like, yeah, okay. But it's written into law that there is a two-tier legal system in the UK. That's in law. Protected groups are considered under the law differently by virtue of being from different cultures. I mean, can law actually work like that? Different laws for different people, because you know, essentially it's an argument from determinism. Wow.
Didn't come with her. She asked me because she has worked at my home before. She asked me.
Gasps were heard from the public gallery as the verdicts were given, according to the BBC. The court was then cleared as Mugambe apparently felt unwell. The prosecutor in the case alleged Mugambe, here studying for a law PhD at Oxford, had conspired with the Ugandan Deputy High Commissioner John Leonard Mugerwa to bring the woman to the UK. The pair apparently participated in a, quote, very dishonest trade-off.
No. Really? I mean, you've got to look at the system radically. You've got to go right into it and ask yourself, how are people who are working in government in a nation that we know is corrupt to the core? That's there, that evidence is there. But let's select them for our judiciary. Let's do that. What could go wrong? I mean,
in which Mugabe arranged for the Ugandan High Commission to sponsor the young woman to come to the UK. In exchange, Mugambe would attempt to speak to a judge who was in charge of legal action, Mr. Mugambe.
Oh, it's all right, I'll have a chat with... I've got a mate, we'll be all right. We'll get you in and you can work for me under duress.
Mugabe was named in, jurors heard. Mugambe was also found guilty of conspiring to intimidate the woman to withdraw her testimony. According to her UN profile page, Mugambe was appointed as a judge 3 months after police were called to her address in Oxfordshire. Thames Valley Police Commander for Oxfordshire said, Lydia Mugambe is an extremely qualified lawyer, a Ugandan High Court judge and a UN Criminal Tribunal judge. After the offences had been reported to the police, Mugambe tried to evade justice by repeatedly claiming she had diplomatic immunity due...
Let's just clear that up a bit. After this came out, 3 months after this came out, she was appointed as a judge. Just ask yourself, is that system working? Is it working for the benefit of the English people? Or is it working for the benefit of people like Lydia Mugambe?
Due to her status, any immunity Mugambe may have enjoyed as a UN judge has been waived by the Office of the United Nations Secretary General.
Good.
Uganda is a highly corrupt country, currently in turmoil as its chief member of the opposition is placed behind bars.
Let's get some
Theresa
judges.
May made tackling modern slavery a central piece of her premiership. She warned changes to migration legislation could put slaves at risk.
This bill has been marketed as a stop the boats bill. We all want to stop the boats. Nobody wants to see people.
Do you though? Do you? It doesn't. I mean, I could give you a few suggestions. It seems that you're not going for, some very basic solutions that the man in the street could give you. I mean, come on. Helping them come to England would not seem to be trying to stop them. It seems to me like you're assisting them, which is quite the opposite of what you just said.
Risking their lives in small boats across the channel, as we don't want to see them risking their lives in other...
To be honest with you, I think if you were to talk to some English people, that's not the issue. In fairness, there's something bigger at stake here. I mean, if people take risks, that's on them. The future of a nation, the future of a people, the future of Western civilization might, from some angles, from some perspectives, be considered somewhat more important.
Unseaworthy vessels across the Mediterranean. But this bill is not just written to stop the boats. It covers all illegal migration in
Theresa,
and its unwritten
green.
subtext is the Stop Certain Victims Claims of Modern Slavery bill. Not stop forced claims of modern slavery, but stop all claims full stop. And the evidence of the police is clear. If you want victims to provide evidence to bring slave drivers to justice, the victims need time, they need support, and they need to be here.
It was reported at the time that modern slaves were present in every town across Britain.
I mean, just really, really, and why? Why do you think that would be the case? Was it like that 40 years ago? I mean, 40 years is a tiny amount of time, really. Was it like that? Or is there other, can we start looking perhaps at why this is happening? I mean, I'm not going to guess, but I could probably suggest a few areas of policy that might have something to do with that.
Up to 50 million were present around the world.
And isn't it absurd? You never hear about this, rarely hear about this. You don't hear about this on like the BBC, for instance, and when you do, they quickly zoom in on a a very specific version of events in which they tend to twist the story, change the narrative, change the focus, and it ends up being about an individual and their life and their brothers, their sisters, and you forget the bigger picture, which is the picture you need to be looking at. There is, without doubt, more slavery in Africa today than the Atlantic slave trade, without a doubt. And yet, what do we hear about slavery? Reparations. Give us money. Give us loads of your money, because I wasn't a slave and you didn't hold me as a slave. It's absurdity. It's all focused on the Atlantic slave trade, and nothing about the millions of slaves that are alive today, that are enslaved today. No one seems to give a shit about them. Africa is a slavery continent today.
Rafe Hadel-Manku says global elites, often obsessed with the legacy of slavery and demanding reparations, should focus their...
My little window was above that though. 18 trillion they're demanding, the Caribbean states, in reparations. 18 trillion? You're not getting a tenner. Well, I'd hope you wouldn't, but nothing surprises me with the communist government currently running the UK. Nothing would surprise me. You know why? Because I know the history of communism, and I've been surprised and surprised again, and slowly weakened by the reality of that barbaric ideology, what it strives to do, what it intends to do, what actually happens, and what kind of surprisingly small difference between the two.
Efforts on the plight of currently held slaves.
None of this is actually about slavery and reparations. This is an avaricious cash grab by the Caribbean states, and the judge in question here is a long-standing reparations activist for the Caribbean states. And also from the left, of course, this is an attempt to undermine Britain and the West and use the politics of victimhood and post-colonial imperial guilt to do that. And once you
Rafe nailing it.
look at it through that lens, then you begin to understand the geopolitics here and what's going on. It's no surprise either that another judge on the ICJ was a former member of the communist government who now sits on there, who also voted on Chagos. Russia also trying to influence the ICJ on Chagos to essentially add costs to Britain as penalty for its position in the Ukraine war. And you know that it's not about slavery, because if this was about slavery, you would have them equally vocal about the plight of modern slaves today, where 7 in every 1,000 Africans is a slave.
Whoa. Hang on, let's just do that number again.
Of modern slaves today, where 7 in every 1,000 Africans is a slave, 10 million people. The CNN reported that hundreds of slaves are sold every week in Libya. There are 800,000 slaves in Cameroon. So where are these people protesting outside the high commissions of Niger, of Nigeria, outside the Sudan?
Oh, that's how it's pronounced. I thought it was... Well, people, I'll leave a link. I don't want to dine out on GB News. I thought I'd bring that to you because it kind of went under the radar. There's a link in the description to the full video. Go and check it out. Show GB News some love. They're better than most, let's be fair. Look after yourselves. Ta-da.